Imagine standing at the edge of an impossible situation. Your mind races through every logical solution, yet nothing makes sense. The path forward seems blocked, the deadline unreachable, the problem unsolvable. But what if I told you that this moment of complete helplessness is exactly where something extraordinary can happen? What if the very impossibility you're facing is the doorway to witnessing power beyond human comprehension? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you face every challenge in your life. When everything feels out of control, there's a profound truth we often forget: nothing exists beyond divine control. The verse reminds us that provision comes from sources we could never imagine, and whoever places their trust in God will find Him sufficient. This isn't just comforting poetry, it's a fundamental reality about how the universe operates. God accomplishes His purpose, and He has set a precise measure for all things. Our rational minds become our greatest limitation when we face difficulties. We calculate probabilities, assess our resources, and conclude what's possible or impossible based on our limited human perspective. Whether it's a looming deadline, a delayed journey, someone's illness, an oppressed community, or unemployment, we box ourselves into what seems rationally achievable. But divine help transcends human imagination. If we only ask for what we think is possible, we miss the miraculous nature of divine intervention. Consider the moments in history when impossibility became reality. Moses stood trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's advancing army. No escape route, no logical solution. Mary returned to her people carrying an infant, facing certain judgment. Zechariah and his elderly wife prayed for a child when biology said no. These weren't just righteous people, they were extraordinarily open-minded about divine power. The more open someone's mind becomes to this limitless power, the higher they aim, and the more they achieve in both this life and the next. The verse teaches us something deeper about trust. It brings contentment and peace. When we're told that God is sufficient, it means we become satisfied, needing and seeking nothing else. We find ease with whatever has been decreed, recognizing good even in seemingly negative circumstances. This isn't passive resignation, it's dignified emancipation. We free ourselves from dependence on others' help or approval, from humiliation by base desires, from the emotional roller coaster of seeking validation from creation rather than Creator. Here's the reality that changes everything. Our provisions were written 50,000 years before we were born. Our successes and so-called failures are already decreed. The real test isn't whether we achieve our goals, it's whether we show gratitude during success and contentment during failure. Sometimes we pour everything into accomplishing something, yet it still doesn't work. This isn't failure, it's a sign that divine will has a purpose superseding our plans. Rather than disappointment, we should seek the wisdom in what has been decreed. Whatever you're facing is actually the fulfillment of a plan, the accomplishment of a purpose, specially designed for you. The verse tells us we may dislike something that is good for us and love something that is actually harmful. God knows while we don't. Often the lesson from the test proves more valuable than the original thing we were seeking. This truth also reassures us that those working against truth and goodness will ultimately fail, even when we cannot perceive their defeat coming. History shows us communities that seemed powerful but collapsed because their success was only temporary respite before their plans crumbled, like the people of Ad, Thamud, the companions of the ditch, and Pharaoh. So how do we reprogram our thinking? First, stop limiting divine power to what seems rationally possible. Our bounded rationality cannot perceive the endless capacity of divine will. Second, recognize that worrying about what has already been perfectly measured out is pointless. Instead, focus on what's in your hands, do what you can in your current circumstances, and keep making supplication for the best outcome. Here are practical steps. Force yourself to pray for what seems impossible. Keep trying with whatever practical means are available, especially when you think the doors have closed. That plane you're rushing to catch, even though check-in closed, that job application, despite fierce competition, that deadline extension you doubt will be granted. These are moments when trust gets pushed to its limit. Will you persevere? Listen to sacred texts and familiarise yourself with prophetic stories. Their deep conviction challenges our skepticism and broadens our minds. Surround yourself with people who give hope and encouragement, who help you avoid regret, who offer constructive advice and highlight positive aspects. Memorize verses and supplications that increase trust. But what about when things keep going badly? When trust and effort don't lead to hoped-for outcomes? Pause and purposefully reflect. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What negative habit do I need to release? What material attachments do I still hold? What positive outcomes am I overlooking? Are the consequences really as awful as I think? Could this negative outcome be one small, short-term phase toward long-term victory? When life tests you, it's simply teaching you you'll keep getting practice exams before the big test until you learn the lesson. And if you do learn, if you truly understand what the lesson is about, then congratulations. That understanding is a precious blessing and possibly the real success you were after all along. The breakthrough you're waiting for might not be the external change you expect, but the internal transformation that happens when you finally grasp why the journey unfolded exactly as it did.